They told you to be realistic. They told you to play it safe, to be practical, to accept what life gives you and call it destiny. But destiny is not something you receive, it's something you decide. And every great life ever built began with a single defiant thought. I will not quit. When the world turns its back on you, when every door closes, when the dream you once saw so clearly begins to fade in the fog of failure, it's not your strength that's being tested, it's your mind. Because, in that moment, there are only two kinds of people: those who surrender to the storm, and those who become the storm. History remembers the second kind. It remembers Edison, who failed 1,000 times, and smiled each time, because he knew every failure brought him closer to the light. It remembers Henry Ford, who was told he didn't have the education, the money, or the experience, yet built an empire because he had something more powerful than all three: a mind that refused to quit. It remembers Abraham Lincoln, who faced defeat after defeat, heartbreak after heartbreak, until persistence carved his name into the stone of history. And it will remember you if you choose to endure. Because the truth is simple. You cannot defeat a person who refuses to stay down. You can knock them over. You can strip them of everything. But if they keep rising, if their will remains unbroken, the universe itself must eventually yield. That is the law of persistence. It is not luck. It is not fate. It is the unbreakable rhythm of life that rewards endurance with triumph. Most people never understand this. They chase comfort, not conviction. They want guarantees before they move, applause before they act, proof before they believe. But the builders of empires, the creators of fortunes, the dreamers who shaped the world, they didn't wait for proof. They became the proof. They didn't ask, "What if I fail?" They asked, "What if I never try?" And that question burned so deeply in their soul that quitting was no longer an option, it was death. The death of potential, the death of purpose, the death of self-respect. If you are listening to this right now, it's because something inside you knows you were not born for mediocrity. You were not designed to exist quietly, to follow the crowd, or to bury your potential under fear. You were built to create, to lead, to rise, to become. And the only thing standing between who you are and who you can be is the moment you decide that you will not quit. The mind is the greatest battlefield ever known. Your greatest victories will not be won in the world, they will be won within. Because the human mind, when disciplined, when focused, when fully convinced, becomes a force no power on earth can restrain. Every day you wake up, your thoughts go to war: faith against fear, vision against doubt, persistence against procrastination. And whichever side you feed the most becomes the ruler of your destiny. Feed your faith, and you will begin to see possibility where others see impossibility. Feed your discipline, and you will find progress where others find excuses. Feed your persistence, and you will discover that every setback is simply a setup for a stronger comeback. This is not poetic theory. It's the principle that built empires, that raised men from poverty to power, that turned ordinary thinkers into extraordinary achievers. Carnegie, Rockefeller, Disney, Hill, they all understood this. Your mind is your greatest asset or your greatest liability. It can imprison you in fear, or it can unleash a level of power that changes the world. The question is, who's in control? Your emotions or your vision? Your fears or your faith? Because a man ruled by emotion will quit 1,000 times before victory ever reaches his door. But a man ruled by vision, a mind ruled by purpose, becomes unstoppable. You see, the mind that refuses to quit doesn't need perfect conditions. It builds in chaos. It grows in the dark. It creates opportunities where none exist. It doesn't wait for the world to give permission, it demands results through relentless effort. And this is where most people break. They want quick success. They want recognition without the grind, reward without the risk. They want the fruit without planting the tree. But success has never bowed to convenience, it bows only to persistence. When Edison was told he was wasting his life chasing a fantasy, he smiled and said, "I have not failed 10,000 times. I have simply found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is the mindset of a winner. Not one who avoids failure, but one who uses it. Because failure is not final, it's feedback. And the moment you realize that, you will stop fearing it and start feeding on it. Every failure gives you data. Every rejection gives you direction. Every mistake reveals a method. And if you stay the course, if you refuse to quit, you'll find that every fall was secretly pushing you higher. The tray. Because persistence is not punishment, it's preparation. Every delay, every obstacle, every setback is shaping you into the person capable of holding the dream you asked for. You asked for greatness, didn't you? Then understand this. Greatness does not come at a discount. It will cost you everything that is not essential to who you're meant to become. It will take your doubts, your fears, your excuses, your comfort, and it will burn them in the fire of discipline. That is how the weak mind dies, and the powerful mind is born. The mind that refuses to quit learns to love the process more than the prize. It finds meaning in the climb, because the climb is the transformation. The mountain doesn't just reveal your strength, it forges it. And when you begin to see struggle as sacred, you stop running from it. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." You begin to understand that pain is the greatest sculptor of potential, that hardship is the chisel that carves champions from the stone of ordinary men. Edison knew it. Ford lived it. Hill preached it. They didn't rise because life was kind, they rose because their minds were unconquerable. When the world said, "You can't," they said, "Watch me." When the banks closed their doors, when investors laughed, when the nights stretched long and hopeless, they stayed. They kept showing up. They kept believing, long after belief became inconvenient. And eventually, the universe surrendered to their persistence. That's how life works. Life will not hand you your dream until you've proven you can hold it. It will test your patience, your resolve, your faith, your self-discipline. It will make you bleed for what you say you want, because it wants to see if you truly mean it. Anyone can desire success. Only a few are willing to be refined by its fire. And when that fire burns through you, when it takes your fear, your hesitation, your excuses, and leaves only raw determination, that's when you've crossed the line from wishing to becoming, from dreaming to doing, from wanting to deserving. Because the mind that refuses to quit no longer begs for success, it becomes success. It radiates a frequency so powerful that opportunity begins to bend toward it. Not because of luck, but because of alignment. Because when your mind is fixed on purpose, when your actions match your words, when your discipline becomes your daily devotion, the world has no choice but to respond. It may not happen today. It may not happen next month. But every step forward, every silent act of persistence, every unseen effort is rewriting your story. The results will appear suddenly, but the growth is happening now, in the grind, in the waiting, in the silence where most people give up. Most people quit not because they lack ability, but because they lack patience. They can't stand the season of unseen progress, the stage where results are invisible but growth is exponential. But those who keep going, those who persist through that silence, eventually step into a moment that makes all the pain worth it. And in that moment, they realize something powerful. They didn't just achieve the dream, they became the kind of person who deserved it. Discipline is the bridge that carries persistence to victory. Without it, desire burns out like a match in the wind. But with it, you become unstoppable, methodical, consistent, deliberate. Discipline is not a cage, it's freedom. It's the structure that allows creativity to flourish, the routine that turns potential into performance. It's the quiet, invisible habit that separates the dreamer from the achiever. Every morning you wake up before the world, you're not just starting early, you're declaring to yourself, I'm in control. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're training your subconscious to believe you. And once your mind believes your word, your power multiplies beyond measure. A disciplined mind doesn't wait to feel ready, it moves, regardless of emotion. Because emotion is temporary, but vision is eternal. The one who acts only when it feels good will never achieve what requires persistence. But the one who acts especially when it feels difficult, that's the person destiny calls unstoppable. Think about every giant who changed history. None of them were handed success. They built it one disciplined act at a time. Edison stayed awake for nights that blurred into days, chasing an idea everyone else abandoned. Ford dismantled failure after failure until one idea ignited the automobile revolution. Disney was rejected by hundreds of investors before his imagination found its home on Earth. What did they all have in common? Not money, not privilege, not timing, a mindset. A mindset that refused to quit. A mindset that said, if it must be done, then I will find a way. A mindset that saw the impossible not as a barrier, but as an invitation. That's what separates success from mediocrity. The ability